Do you ever feel like time is slipping through your fingers? One minute you're celebrating New Year's, and the next you're watching the Christmas decorations go on sale. Where did the year go? Does it seem to you that the older you get, the faster time goes? You might think that our memories are just getting worse, but there could be a deeper reason at play. In this video, we want to talk about why every year seems shorter than the last, and for that, we need to explore the fascinating theory of time by Henri Bergson. So let's dive in. 1. The illusion of clock time. First off, let's clear up some basic points. Yes, there are 24 hours in a day and 60 minutes in an hour. That's the chronological time that we can read on any clock or watch. This is the time that we use to schedule meetings, plan trips, and set deadlines. But what does this have to do with how we actually experience time? Well, according to Bergson, the time shown on the clock is just one piece of the puzzle. To understand how time works, we need to consider how our brains perceive it. Imagine sitting in a doctor's office waiting for your name to be called. You glance at the clock and notice that only a few minutes have passed since you arrived. But at the same time, it seems like you've been waiting forever. Why is that? It's because the passage of time depends not only on the hands of the clock, but also on our own perceptions, emotions, and experiences. For example, when we're bored or anxious, time can seem to drag on forever. But when we're having fun, time flies by unnoticed. This is because our brains don't experience time in a linear fashion. Instead, our perception of time is shaped by the quality and intensity of our experiences. Some moments feel stretched out, while others feel compressed. But why does this happen? To answer that question, we need to take a journey into the mind of a child. Have you ever noticed how children seem to be able to play for hours without getting bored? They can spend all day building a Lego castle or drawing a picture and never once ask, "How much time has passed?" On the other hand, if you ask an adult how long they spent working on a project, they often check their watch or phone to calculate the time elapsed. What's the difference? Children experience time qualitatively, meaning they focus on the quality of the experience rather than its duration. They're so absorbed in the activity that they don't pay any attention to the passage of time. In contrast, adults tend to measure time quantitatively. They want to know exactly how much time has passed because they're focused on efficiency and productivity. This is where the concept of duration comes into play. Bergson believed that our brains create a continuous flow of time, which he called la durée. In French, durée means both duration and hardness, which Bergson thought was appropriate because time can be both tough and resilient. Unlike chronological time, which is objective and measurable, la durée is subjective and unique to each individual. It's not a tick-tock on the clock, but a rich, complex tapestry of memories, emotions, and experiences. As children, our la durée is constantly expanding because everything is new and exciting. But as we grow older, our experiences become more routine, and our la durée begins to shrink. So why does every year feel shorter than the last? It's because our perception of time changes as we age. In childhood, everything is new, and our minds are wide open to all the possibilities the world has to offer. We form lasting memories of these novel experiences, which expand our sense of time. However, as we enter adulthood, our lives become more structured. We go to school, start a career, get married, and raise a family. These routines become the norm, and our perception of time begins to change. Now, weeks, months, and even years go by without us noticing. We stop paying attention to the little things around us because we're too busy trying to achieve our goals. This narrowing of our awareness leads to a shrinking of our perceived time. Suddenly, years are passing by in a blink of an eye. But why does this happen? Bergson believed that it's because we stop living in the present moment. When we're focused on the future, time seems to pass quickly. This is because our minds are always trying to find patterns and shortcuts to make sense of the world around us. We categorize similar experiences together and file them away in our memories. This allows us to free up cognitive resources to focus on new information. However, this process also leads to a loss of detail and nuance in our memories. Before we know it, we can't even remember what we did last week, let alone last year. 2. Duration and memory. In Bergson's view, memory is essential to our experience of time. It allows us to remember important events and learn from our past experiences. But memory isn't perfect. As we get older, our memories become less detailed and more fragmented. This is partly because our brains naturally prioritize the most important information and discard the rest. But it's also because our perception of time changes as we age. In childhood, we're wide-eyed and curious about the world. So we pay attention to every little detail, but as adults, we become more selective in what we focus on. This means that our memories of childhood are often more vivid and rich than our memories of adulthood. As a result, time seems to pass more slowly when we look back on our childhood experiences. For example, if you ask someone about their first day of school, they'll probably remember lots of details about their classmates, teachers, and activities. But if you ask them about their first day of college, they'll likely remember much less. This is because our brains prioritize the most emotionally significant events and memories. And our first day of school is often one of the most emotionally charged days of our early lives. 3. The Inner Timekeeper. So how does our perception of time change as we get older? According to Bergson, it all has to do with our inner timekeeper, which he called the internal timekeeper. This internal timekeeper is a part of our unconscious mind that regulates our experience of time. When we're young, our internal timekeeper is very sensitive and responsive to our environment. We notice small changes in the world around us and respond accordingly. But as we get older, our internal timekeeper becomes less sensitive and more rigid. We stop noticing the small changes around us and stick to our routines. This is why time seems to pass more quickly as we get older. Our internal timekeeper is no longer responding to the nuances of our environment. Instead, it's just counting off the seconds, minutes, and hours until we reach our next appointment or deadline. However, there's hope. Bergson believed that we can train our internal timekeepers to become more sensitive. By paying attention to the details of our environment, we can create meaningful memories and savor the present moment. This is why it's important to break out of our routines and try new things. When we do something new, we create a unique experience that our internal timekeeper will remember. This helps us to slow down time and appreciate the richness of life. 4. Reliving the Past. Bergson believed that we relive our past experiences whenever we remember them. When we recall a past event, we don't just bring back a memory. We also experience the emotions, sensations, and thoughts that we felt at the time. This means that our past experiences are always present in our minds, even if we don't consciously remember them. Bergson called this the representation of the past. He believed that this representation was essential to our experience of time because it allowed us to connect with our past selves. Through the representation of the past, we can relive the joys and sorrows of our past experiences and learn from our mistakes. However, Bergson also believed that the representation of the past was not a perfect process. Our memories are often incomplete or distorted, and we may not remember all of the details of a past experience. But that doesn't mean that the experience isn't still there. It's just waiting for us to uncover it through our memories. So the next time you're feeling nostalgic, take a moment to appreciate the power of your mind. You're literally reliving a past experience in the present moment. Time is a funny thing. It can feel like it's flying by 1 minute and then standing still the next. But according to Bergson, this is just the nature of time. It's not a straight line from past to future. Instead, it's a rich, complex tapestry that we create through our experiences and memories. So, the next time you feel like time is slipping through your fingers, remember that it's not really going anywhere. It's all in here. Thanks for watching. See you next time.